How do you take a classic and make it relevant to a contemporary audience? Why this play? Why now? These are important questions that Carol MacLean has carefully considered not only in planning a season, but in staging many impactful dramas for the Clarence Brown Theatre. I'm Carol Mayo Jenkins. I'm an artist in residence at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, the native land of the Yuchi, the Muskogee Creek, and the Cherokee Nation. I am here in the historic Carousel Theatre. This month, we embark on a journey highlighting Cal's 15-year legacy of timely questions, thoughtful answers, and spectacular successes during his time here as head of the Department of Theatre and producing artistic director of the Clarence Brown Theatre. Join me this week as we look back at the powerful dramas Cal has brought us, and we see the role that art plays in shaping our society and the minds of future generations of theater artists. In 2008, Cal brought The Life of Galileo to the main stage. Bertolt Brecht's hard-hitting social commentary took a front seat in Cal's staging that mixed the past with the present and realism with Brecht's unflinching presentational style. Cal's seamless transitions utilized the breathtaking industrial set and mirrored panels to stunning effect. The large cast of guest artists, company members, graduate and undergraduate students, and a commanding lead performance by frequent collaborator Rick Peeples explored the play's themes of dangerous truth overcoming oppressive fear.
Galileo was, I knew the play, and I, of course, knew Bertolt Brecht from previous work that I've done on shows of his, but I'd never played Galileo before, and I love the way he wanted to approach it. He wanted to approach Galileo not so much from a Brechtian point of view, but he wanted to look at it from the idea of reason, the idea of reason in the face of irrationality, and really point that up.
It's, to this day, one of the most beautiful productions I've ever had the pleasure to work on. That it was interesting, having never worked with Cal before. We learned a lot about each other. It was a long and grueling process, but man, the product that we produced on that was just mind blowing. It was one of the most visually luscious shows I've ever done, and we brought that amazing story to life. And again, that's top down. That's the director doing that, and the rest of us responding. So just a beautiful, beautiful job, and really, really good work on that.
2009's A Streetcar Named Desire set a new standard of excellence at the Clarence Brown. With sumptuous designs by Chris Pickard, Marianne Custer, and John Horner, and set to a sultry original score by Lucas Richmond, Cal's electrifying production of this Tennessee Williams classic was anchored by Dale Dickey's definitive portrayal of Blanche Dubois. The poetic realism and masterful storytelling highlighted themes just as political and subversive as they were lyrical and darkly entertaining.
I remember being terrified. I adore Cal and his directing style. If you go into a production like that that's so massive, and knowing that I could trust him and that he trusted me completely. I knew he had my back and was not going to let me fail. He pushed me. I mean, I know he said early on, this is going to open you up, like just ripping that lid off the can. And he was right. You can't do that role without putting everything into it. And there was one day in rehearsal, particularly, when Blanche is running up and down, screaming fire, fire, and he gently pushes you until he knows what you're capable of. And I was playing it too safe, and he was like, "No, you've got to push it. It's got to be deeper. It's got to be further. It's got to be more and more." And I finally just sort of risked it and went for it. And he shouted from the back of the theater, "That's it. That's what I need every second you're on stage, that kind of power and intensity and truthfulness." And it was like an awakening. I was like, oh, okay, it's got to go there. And it's exhausting, but he knows how to guide you and get the best out of your performance. So I'm really grateful for that, because it's a beast of a play and a iconic role, and will stay with me forever, and his directing will as well.
Cal helmed the contemporary classic Our Country's Good in the Carousel Theatre in 2013. This sweeping epic chronicled the lives of prisoners in Botany Bay, Australia, at the end of the 18th century. The cast, featuring both first-year and third-year graduate students, had the unique opportunity of doubling as soldiers as well as convicts as they rehearsed for a play. Cal's careful direction reminds us that the transformation of individual lives and even the attitude of entire societies is at the center of theater's powerful purpose.
Our Country's Good was probably the most challenging role that I've ever played. And I remember going into the rehearsals, being prepared for a challenge, for whatever was going to come the way. But what I was most excited about was the collaboration of the whole artistic team.
The idea of making this happen and the carousel was something that was very exciting from the get-go. When I went to Cal for the first time, I said, you know what, I really like this building. I think it's really cool. I think we should incorporate the building, right? I think the building should be part of the set. And he was very agreeable to that idea, and he was very excited. And we both explored this notion of how to transform a theater into a set, because the show is about the theater and the transformative power of theater. It was something that for me was also very cathartic. It was very special.
Cal sort of let me lead the way for Liz Morton. When you're working on a character like that, it can be, you can get lost in it. You can get sort of swept away in the harsh realities of those given circumstances. And as an actor, it's challenging, and being given the freedom to explore that and was really exciting as an actor. But he was always there to sort of guide it back home, to bring it back to the storytelling, to affirm and support anything that might have been serving the story, but then just to guide back into what the message of that play was.
2016's production of Arthur Miller's perennial classic, The Crucible, was a fresh revitalization of a play that is quintessentially American. The intimate setting of the Carousel Theatre, along with Cal's immersive staging, drew audiences into the unfolding drama, featuring riveting performances by guest artists Grant Goodman and Jenny McKnight, as well as a supporting cast of company members, graduates, undergraduates, and community members. The Crucible highlights a moment of our nation's history filled with greed, pride, and fear, which was made even more immediately poignant when viewed through the lens of the political uncertainty of the time.
Cal took a huge idea and onboarded a huge cast onto some kind of play that I think a lot of people have like their presumptions about already. And like, he talked about and played with ideas of divinity and spirituality as much as we discussed psychology and science and materialism. Like, he was able to make a play kind of about everything, but not in a distracting way, in a way that just, it left so much to be discussed. this play and all of its history and all of Arthur Miller's ideas and all of like everything that was happening at the present moment and like everybody else's personal experience, we talked about that. We dealt with these like enormous complex themes all at the table, all together as like a congregation.
One of the things that we talk about all the time at the CBT is our dual mission of being a professional theater and a training institute. And one of Cal's productions that really stood out to me on that front was his production of The Crucible, where he had really spectacular professionals and graduate students and undergraduate students all working together in a way that truly felt like an ensemble to me.
I remember specifically me being an undergraduate student. I had a voice at this table, and I found that I had things to say and questions to ask, and Cal fostered that.
The whole way through, Cal was really, really good about just going, I understand the limitations, I understand the complications. Here's what we need it to do, though. And he kept the vision driving, and we ended up again with I thought, a spectacular production of a really, really important play. Cal is very good about picking plays that are important at the time. And I think that was a good example of that.
I thought it was amazing and bold that Cal chose to program The Crucible and in the way he did for fall 2016 during that election. And even the choice to show that this was an environment of pure oppression from every angle, and the choices you're made when you feel under that sort of duress, but then also this very subtle thing of Abigail Williams' regret once she put it out there. She wasn't happy that John and Elizabeth are arrested. She wasn't happy that John goes to his death, but the fact that she can't take it back. I thought that was like such a parable that again created this play from our past and made it present.
I mean, it was one of the best productions I'd ever been a part of. I think he was just really audacious and like wanting to go there, and I really respect that.
I think one of the things that makes Cal's work as a director really, really special for me over the years, and one of the reasons, it's one of the reasons he's my best friend, and one of the reasons I've enjoyed working with him for so long, because we sort of think along the same lines this way. He's interested in taking any play that he does, but particularly the classic, Shakespeare, Brecht, and he wants to look at the play in terms of the moment, of the moment that he's in, the moment that the actors are in, the moment that the production lives in society. And sort of focus the play and focus the view through the lens of his humanity and his values, as well as the moment socially and in the community, and to try to make the play speak to that. And with Galileo, he did a great job with that, but that happens throughout his work, I think.
I think that the relevancy of any play, whether it's old or new, whether it's Tennessee Williams or Oedipus, I think every director puts their own aesthetic onto it. We can't direct plays that we don't believe in, but we also have to have a personal relationship with all plays. And I think that's what Cal does when he changes it up a little bit, when he, for lack of a better term, contemporizes it. It's where his heart lives. And it's really a question for him. He loves doing it. He loves looking at it differently. And every director worth their salt should do the same thing.
He allowed me to feel like I was a real artist, because he approaches his work from a beautiful artistic vision. He can see it. He's there to help the actors realize it, and he's very much a collaborator in terms of listening and trying new things. But he also is so precise and has thought through so carefully everything that technically it's a safety. There's a safety route with him. I think there has to be a huge trust factor, and Cal as a director He's like the master of the ship, and you just trust him that he's going to steer you there. He's going to take in everyone else's ideas, but his master vision, eventually through all of the seas and ups and downs, it will all be realized.
It was dramatic to step onto those sets. And I always felt like they were just a very direct expression of the size and power of Cal's imagination. And that also he had imagined every character and moment, and he was continuously growing that imagination as we all worked. And it just sort of grew inside the room, and I could feel it I just felt like I could step into it, and it grew inside of me as well. It was a great pleasure to be in those shows.
As a director, I've never worked with anybody that had quite the humanity and vision that he has. His ability to tell a story visually on stage with actors is unparalleled in my experience. I've worked with some very fine directors in my life. I've worked with Oscar winners. I've worked with Tony Award winners. Really wonderful directors and people, and I've never seen anybody that could blow Cal's directing off a stage.
He's like a maestro, like Prospero in The Tempest. He just weaves this magic until it is fully realized and even more magical than one could have dreamed of. He's quite exceptional. He's an exceptional person and director. And a real gift, I think, has been a real gift to the university.
By breathing new life into classic dramas, Cal has reminded us of the theater's ability to transport us in time and place while simultaneously confronting our present challenges simply by asking the right questions.